Good afternoon. The August 17th meeting of the Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust will be in order. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the August 3rd meeting. Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Are there comments, questions, additions, corrections? Voting, please. Amazing. I'm going to do it again. No, there he is. He's here. The next item is the consent docket. There's a number of matters on the consent docket. Have a motion to approve the consent docket subject to individual consideration. Are there matters to be considered individually?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question on 3C3.
Yes.
In the discussion, it talks about when the installation of the sanitary sewer relief main is complete, the contractor will mill and overlay Brassford Boulevard 2 inches. And I wonder, in addition to 2 inches thick, how far he was going to go.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have that information at my hands. We can ask Mr. Samandi, or we'll go look it up and bring that back to you.
We'll look at that and bring that back to you. The overlay is usually about 2 inches.
I know, but how far is it going to be?
Oh, the whole width of the
Yeah.
road?
I mean, but how far lengthwise, Sam? I mean, we're going to do 2 blocks, the entire Brassford Boulevard.
It's from the very it's on Brassford from the very beginning to the end where we were going
The whole Brassford Boulevard?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, thank you. That's what I need to know.
Yes.
Thank you.
Are there other items to be considered individually or discussed individually? Hearing none, all those in favor of the consent docket, voting please. Pass unanimously. The next item are the reports. There are 3 separate reports. Under item 4. Comments, questions about the reports?
Mr. Chairman, the lakes are full with the exception of Lake Draper. We have experienced a shutdown on the Attucka pipeline, but the pipeline earlier today began pushing water to Lake Draper again. We're operating with 2 pumps. The contractor's making good progress. As you know, it's been a very wet summer. Virtually every water supply lake, except Lake Draper that we're not pumping into, is full, which is very exciting. Lake Hefner's down about 1.5 foot maximum, I think. We had a peak demand, which we believe is over for the summer, of 172 million gallons. That is 17 million gallons, or 10% off our all-time record.
Did you say that water is being put into Draper?
Yes,
today?
it is. Yes.
So that we anticipate that.
You'll see water
Fill it
continue.
up?
No, unfortunately, not yet. Probably not until about February will you see a material change in the depths of water. We'll see we'll see a slight increase as we continue to 2-pump and demand goes down, and then we'll shut the pipeline down, unfortunately, this fall for a couple of months. So you'll see us lose that ground.
You know, it has occurred to me about whether there's anything that we should be doing in the lake bed itself when it's this low. I mean, it's so low that it all looks like there might be opportunities to take dirt out or rearrange things on the lake bed or the shoreline that we haven't had since it filled up the first time. I just wonder if someone's taken a look. I'm sure you have, but it's just a question I have.
Well, I'm sure there are things that we haven't thought of, and we're happy to hear from folks who are at the lake, and that constituency doesn't hesitate, I know, to contact the chairman or some staff members. We are cleaning out the area near the boat docks, removing some soil there to increase the depths under the boat docks. We're building a wave barrier, if you will. It has a different name. I apologize. With our own crews while the lake is down. And then we have been cleaning up along the shoreline. We plan to complete one pass now, and they're picking up unusual things, as you usually find. Then we'll complete a pass as the lake hits its very lowest level. Again, that's probably next winter. But yes, we saw debris when we dropped 5 feet, and this last 5 feet has unearthed a surprising amount of stuff we didn't know was there, kitchen sinks, sort of unusual things. We think we picked up some tornado debris from the May tornado that passed by Draper.
Are there other comments or questions on the reports? Do I have a motion?
Move we receive the reports.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to receive the reports under item 4A, B, and C. Voting, please. Reports are approved. Item 5 is matters for individual consideration. The first one is the ratification of the trust payments for July 14th through August 10th.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question of total? This is not very significant, but it's curiosity. Why did we spend $6,300 at 7-Eleven stores?
I'm not certain I know. There are certain things that we buy that are
Gasoline.
for example, in certain places where we can't get it at a city facility. And I'll get the details.
I couldn't hear the question over here.
Well, there was one item on here that said 7-Eleven stores and it was $6,300, and I was just curious as to what we spent $6,300 for at 7-Eleven stores.
I missed that in my review, and I'll bring that back.
Thank you.
Right.
It's actually just idle curiosity.
Are there other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, wait a minute. I have this switch here that I'm not used to yet. Pass unanimously. The next item is a joint resolution approving a modified citywide pretreatment program.
Move the item.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve item 5B. Are there questions? Hearing none, voting please. Pass unanimously. Item 5C is the adoption of a resolution directing the general manager and general counsel to prepare an ordinance to implement the selected rate alternative to present to the council. Yes, sir, that's,
Move to adopt the resolution.
we have this, are we going to do that now? Is that, we're going to do that next?
We'd be happy to present the details. Yes.
Would that, it appears that would be the appropriate place to do it, seems to me.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Why don't we do it?
Good afternoon. It's an honor to present the utilities rate proposal for your consideration today. In the presentation, we'll describe the work completed. To bring this presentation forward, the capital needs included in the near-term and long-term capital program, and we'll present rate plan options for your consideration. Ultimately, 2 rate plan options were developed, A and B. A adjusts all fees and charges, and B adjusts certain base charges as well as volume charges separately. You're seeing a 4-year rate proposal. Either plan presented today maintains rates below regional averages. Aqua currently stands at 6th lowest of 24 regional cities. The plan, if no other cities adopt their proposed rate plans, would put Aqua at 11th if option B is accepted, and 13th if option A is selected. We'd like to, as we begin, the first step in this process is to look, of course, at trends. Recently, we advised Aqua that its income last year was roughly 1% below forecast. That its income was about 2% below forecast, and after completing some year-end closeout information, we found we were about 1% below the forecast, and think that that's good for what was a very wet year in a 3-year period of pretty wet weather. New customer growth was about average, But wholesale customer growth continues to be remarkable. In fact, 4 of our top 5 customers are now utilities. And since 2006, we've added 4 utility customers, either for water or sewer, in the case of Piedmont, for both services. We take that basis into a detailed capital improvements plan analysis that includes development of scenarios for 5, 10, and 20-year periods. So that we have a water supply plan to complete and a new Atoka pipeline to construct. We wanted to look at a longer term in this case to make certain that we're evening out capital investments that are becoming quite large as we make that intergenerational investment. Public Financial Management, Aquit's financial advisor, modeled the capital improvements options for us and updated the 5-year financial plan to make expenditures match incomes. We went through the CIP in some detail a couple of weeks ago, but I want to just let you know from a ratepayer standpoint that we did look at system challenges, and we've had several in the last year: adequate pressure and flow, when we've had a broken pipe, sufficient capacity in some areas as the Hefner plant reached full capacity in this last summer. We looked at some system strengthening, again, given some failures that we've had, as well as growth and expansion needs. We use a series of studies that were prepared for the utility in making these plans, but we don't blindly rely on them. For example, the wastewater master plan recommends that we install 450 million gallons of wet weather storage capacity, and we think that that's not the most cost-effective thing. So what's in the plan is installing about 200 million gallons of storage, still a huge amount, and doing some rapid treatment technology that's currently available and much more cost-effective than the storage basins, which are also a nuisance. The water CIP includes a smaller than its suggested Atoka pipeline, with the presumption that other utilities will decide before we build the Atoka pipeline whether they wish to participate and pay that additional cost for the oversize. Water system challenges, as we've discussed, are primarily pressure-related at this point and are targeted along the Kilpatrick Turnpike alignment. They're pretty much all addressed in the 5-year program, which includes a 25 million gallon a day expansion of the Hefner plant, a pipeline west from the Hefner plant, which you approved today for construction bidding, and continuation of our Southwest Transmission Main extension to the east side of the Will Rogers Airport to meet current demands and provide capacity for new growth in that Southwest high-growth area with a low potential for industrial development. The wastewater CIP removes many recurring sewer overflows. That is the focus of the 5-year program. It installs new plant facilities at Duke Creek and Chisholm Creek. It'll make those plants more reliable, and it does a complete upgrade of the Witcher pump station, rehabilitating that pump station and hopefully protecting it from the 500-year flood. So when you look at the capital program in contrast, the 5-year program is $463 million. The 10-year program adds $1 billion to that. That's continuing to complete local necessary improvements while we spend about $600 million on a pipeline from Atoka. That's the driver in the program. If we look at Aquit's revenues and expenditures, then over the next 10 years, we included 4% increases in operating expenses that include both a 1.5% growth rate and a partial funding of the Consumer Price Index increases. The plan includes relatively equal amounts of cash and debt capital financing for the first few years. And as has been forecasted in the last 2 financial plans, revenue requirements almost double over the coming 10 years as we make that water supply intergenerational investment. The plan was built using Aquit's corporate financial goals of maintaining its bond rating, achieving a 2 times coverage on bonds, maintaining 90 days working capital, and funding with cash the annual depreciation, funding the CIP with cash an amount equal to the annual system depreciation expense. the two options presented, A and B. Now let's move into those in some detail. Option A presents a one-year high rate increase for water of 8.5% in 2011 and 4.75% in subsequent years. It presents a 5% rate increase for all 4 years for wastewater. The water supply purchase, as you know, is a substantial part of that first year's rate difference. Rate option B suggests that we change base charges. About 140,000 of our customer connections are served with a 5/8 cent water meter. In option B, those customers would see their base charges increase for water and sewer combined by $3.54 a month. In 2012 through 2014, base charges would increase at 4% a year. Also increasing at 4% a year would be all the volume charges. Shortly after our last financial plan was completed, the rates were approved in 2008. Standard & Poor's issued new water and sewer utility credit ratios, including a fixed charge coverage ratio. This ratio measures a utility's ability to meet its annual debt service payment solely from fixed charges collected from customers. S&P suggested that a 1 times coverage is reaching sufficient. In the proposed rate proposal, in the rate proposal options, option A only achieves 85% coverage, while option B achieves that basic 1.0 times coverage that Standard & Poor's suggested. Both options meet all of Aqua's financial goals: 90 days working capital, 2 times coverage for Aqua, 1.7 times coverage for Aqua plus McGee Creek Authority, and pay-as-you-go CIP that's at or above annual depreciation. In recent years, in 2007, 2008, our rate plan was 3.75% increases. In 2009, we did adjust base charges by $3.19 and approved rate volume charges of 5%. If option B were approved, you'd be looking at, again, $3.54 in base charges and 4% interest rates. If option A were approved, you'd be looking at 4.75 or 5% rate increases with a one-time water charge of 8.5% in fiscal year 11. The net difference in the two plans is $1.90 a month this fiscal year. Those differences become less by fiscal year 14 when we're at 85 cents a month. Option B obviously generates more cash earlier for the capital program. It's that simple. Again, comparing us with others, we're the 6th lowest today. Last year, as we approved, 2 years ago, as we approved rate increases, we were bumping up into the same mid-zone that these rate proposals place us in. Again, rate option B would move us to 11 of 24 cities. Should none of those other cities approve rate increases that are still pending. And it would move us to 13th of 24 peer cities if the announced rate plans are adopted. Option A would move us to 14th. We are currently, as of 2009, we were the 13th lowest large top 50 cities rate. Pardon me, let me say that again. As of 2009, we were the 13th lowest of 50 largest cities in the United States. I think that only counts in horseshoes, but there it is. Our ACRA cost of living index, as you know, is 89.9%. overall. Because option B meets the new rating agency expectations and generates fixed fees, that's the one that the city staff recommends. We would very much like to discuss this with you. We appreciate your feedback as always.
Option B, the 4% rate increase would be every year, but that would be slightly less than option A.
Yes, offset with a base charge.
But the 4% goes across the board as far as all the items.
Yes, sir.
What's housekeeping?
Housekeeping is a charge applied to multifamily apartment complexes, essentially for keeping track of all of the data about a complex.
And there was a table in here that compares, I think, the 4% with what we've done in previous years. And the 4%, as I read this, is less than the last couple of years of increases.
It is. It's. Our previous financial plans expected that we'd be at roughly 5%. If you look at the, what we've presented is essentially 5% cut different ways. Perhaps a little bit better than 5% cut different ways.
During the council discussions of this, during the council discussions of this matter, one of the things that's brought up is a couple of locations in the city where the water pressure is really poor. One in Ward 1 and one in Ward 3. I wondered if this rate increase has funds in it to try to do something to alleviate those kind of problems that we already know about now.
We believe that Debbie, can we go back to the slide that shows the pressure?
It's number 10.
It's number 10. Thank you. So look at the red blocks. The Ward 3, Ward 8 problem around the tank in the northwest corner of the city is partially driven by supply from the Hefner plant. What we have found in operating the system this year and having the horrible failure of the pipeline coming west from the plant is how critically weak that link is. It's not strengthened with the second pipeline. So today we asked you to fund to go get bids for beginning construction of that pipeline. But the Hefner plant is maxing out at 75 million gallons a day. And while we push water from the south all the way from Draper, it's not reaching the north area at a high enough pressure. And what we're seeing in this specific square is that the water pressure is so much higher because the land level falls off. If you're at 1,100 feet at Hefner, by the time you're at 192nd Street, you're at 900 for talking purposes. So the water pressure greatly increases out there. Those folks see less failure of service, but what happens is it's easy to get good service, so there's a larger demand out there that's sucking water away from the square that we have. So we think it's both. My goodness, that was confusing. Again, because pressure's better and people have no problems using the water further north, it's essentially sucking the water away from this target area around the Morgan Road tank. Similarly, there's a pipeline shortfall in the northeast corner of the city, something we fixed previously, but we had enough growth in the northeast. We needed a new major distribution main, a 24-inch or a 36-inch over there to put that back right. Our water transmission main coming from Draper is alleviating problems as it comes west, and we expect it to solve the problem in the far south and to eventually bring enough water as we move north of the Will Rogers Airport to bring more water into that low-pressure area. As we built the pipeline from the plant, we see fewer people with pressure problems having full tanks like we want in average day demand as possible, but having reaching full tanks to be ready for the daily peak in the far southwest is a matter of getting a second pump station built southeast of the Will Rogers Airport to help boost pressure into that southwest area.
I guess, I'm not sure.
I went around. I'm sorry. I went way around the horn to tell you that there are things in the CIP that are helping fix it. We don't get far enough west to fix everything in the southwest, but I believe that in the next 3 years we will have this area in the far northwest fixed, and we should be working on the area in the northeast and making things better in the far south. The remaining hiccup is that area far west, putting in the new pumping station, which is going to happen in year 5 or so of the capital program.
I'm not quite sure I understand.
I don't think I'm being clear.
But I really, specifically my question was, does this rate increase fund solutions to, especially those 3 that are west of Interstate 35? I wasn't even familiar that we had a problem, to be honest with you, east of Interstate 35 in the far northeast carrier, but we ought to fix that one too. But the one in Ward 1, I have been familiar with for years. Also the one in Ward 3 and the one that straddles Ward 4 and 5 down here. They've been around for a long time. And
Yes, they have.
Brand new areas of low pressure. And it would seem to me that while we're raising funds to continue the system, we ought to include in that, in a capital improvements program, a way to make sure that we raise it enough that we can solve customer-related problems in all these areas where we have low pressure.
Yes, sir. Getting more water out of Hefner is the key to the big box in the northwest.
Is there money there to do that?
Yes.
All
Yes.
4 of these?
It does not get 100% of the this 5-year program doesn't get 100% of the pipeline built, but every mile of pipe that we build will make that better because it increases the volume that we get. It will take us as much as 3 years to get the Hefner plant expansion built, which is a key piece of the puzzle. While we're building those things, we're also building pipe from the southwest that as we come across this area of low pressure, we are making things better in that far south area that I think is probably Ward 5 and perhaps a little of Ward 3.
A little of it comes over into my area.
Good. The ultimate fix for the southwest is a new pump station, generally on the corner at Will Rogers Airport, and then pushing more water harder, getting repumping the water to increase the pressure that's going in the corner. It's a harder fix, but we're making, yes, we're doing things that will fix problems for customers in a logical fashion that gets the most fixed in the most practical way.
Specifically to your question, the answer is yes.
Thank you.
There is pipelines, plant expansions, pump stations, all within CIP that would address all of those areas. It will take a little bit of time to get to where they're actually operational, just because of the magnitude of the expansion to Hefner, the length of pipe that has to be constructed, and the pump station that needs to be constructed out by Will Rogers. But the answer is yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Resolution is, we have a motion.
We have a motion, we don't
Need a second.
Second.
A motion and a second on item 5C. Voting, please.
I may have done the motion.
Now we have a
Can't
second.
remember.
Well, adopt a resolution directing to prepare an ordinance to implement the selected rate alternative. Do we need to select it?
Option D is for the
Item D,
recommendation.
okay.
So it would be,
All right, okay. That's the motion. And the second. Voting, please. Passed unanimously. Item C is approval of professional service agreement with Aquat and the Center for Economic Development Law for legal services related to the Stardust questions.
Move approval.
Motion and a second to approve item 5D. Are there comments? Voting. 5D is approved. Item 5E, utility relocation between ONG and the South Canadian plant.
Move. Second.
Have a motion and a second on item 5E. Voting, please. Passed unanimously. Item 5F, approve removal and relocation agreement of Penn Virginia MC Energy Flow Equalization Basin Design.
Move approval.
Motion and a second to approve item 5E, or F, excuse me, item 5F. Voting, please. Item 5G, approval request for proposals with regard to the Lake Overholser Soccer Complex.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve item 5G. Comments or questions? Voting. Passed unanimously. Item 5H, resolution authorizing municipal council to file suit against OEC, Oklahoma One Call, and other necessary parties for recovery of funds expended in repairing a damaged 72-inch transmission line.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think we need executive session. What we're asking for is for the trust to adopt a resolution to authorize the municipal counselor's office. Mr. Tim Weston is going to assist us in collecting damages from OEC and AIG, their insurance company, for a 72-inch line that was damaged by OEC.
Do we need executive session on this?
We don't need executive session, just need approval of the resolution.
Move approval.
Second, but what was the basis for AIG's denial? In short, I mean, I don't think.
Their basis for their denial was that they didn't think that they needed to wait for the identification of the line. We had several meetings with OEC and with the insurance company AIG. Initially, they were going to recommend payment of the claim. Then with the recession and the problems they had at AIG and their restructuring, they assigned a new claims manager who then changed the recommendation to denial, and so we're pursuing those funds.
Further comment? Have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. Voting, please. Resolution is approved. Last item on the regular agenda is the enter into an executive session concerning the Sardis transfer. Is that necessary?
Mr. Chairman, that won't be necessary. There's nothing new to report at this time.
Okay. So that item be stricken, I guess. Is there new business? Comments from trustees, staff, citizens? We stand adjourned. Thank you.